They say if you're looking for a good time in New Orleans, the French Quarter is the place you want to be. And every year the city welcomes literally thousands of tourists to places like Bourbon Street to join in the fun. But there's one group that's not exactly welcomed by some here in the city. They're called Gutterpunks. Young kids who, amazingly enough, actually choose to live out on the streets, trying to get by any way they can. And for many of these kids, that's not all that easy.
I've been homeless my entire life. I was emancipated at 13. I've got 2 kids, you know. I'm trying. That's all you can do. Everybody's got a different situation. Everybody's got a different story.
I've been in halfway houses and stuff since I was 5. I got on the streets when I was 10, got married when I was 13, got divorced when I was 14. I have a 6-year-old son. My ex-husband was real abusive and I got on the street.
How old are you now?
I'm 20.
They're dealing with a lot of issues in their heads right now. The only way that they can figure out how to do it. It's basically, I've heard it stated that way before. They're dealing with grown-up issues with adolescent minds.
Tommy Ross runs a neighborhood facility that reaches out to help these kids, some as young as 14, and each one has a different reason for escaping to the streets.
My mother has MS. She can't even support herself. My father's a SOB, you know, just really somebody that never cared. It's broken home, you know, dysfunctional family, all that stuff.
Suppressing his name rise every day.
But escape for these kids comes at a price. For them, living on the streets of New Orleans and many other cities where these kids gather often means having no warm place to sleep, and finding food is a daily scavenger hunt.
I get it however I can, you know. I'll eat out of the garbage. Where people just don't want their leftovers and they throw it away. Or just leave it sitting down somewhere. And I'll pick it up, and if it's got something in it that I want to eat, I'll eat it if I'm hungry.
Isn't that hard for you?
No, not really.
Gotten used to it?
Yeah. I've been doing this for a while, so you know, it's just a part of my daily routine.
How's it gonna hurt to give us a quarter, or here's, you know, 50 cents? Look how we live, look how we eat, look at our lifestyle.
Some people say, why do you choose it then?
It's hard as hell to get off the street once you're on it. It's hard to get back on your feet.
So this is where you guys sleep?
Yeah, we stay at this one. There's about 4 or 5 or 6 of them. In the main entrance, there's usually a lot of trash, so you can hear people walking in. So you don't, you know, you can hear somebody coming to get out. There's holes in the floor, usually. It's real trashy old buildings that we just come into to keep dry. And this is what the cops run us out of.
How many people will you have in here at one time?
Anywhere from the least amount to about 15. This is what we call our home. Where we lay our heads is where we sleep, you know. And it's nasty. And this is what we get harassed about. That's how we live.
So the cops will throw you even out of this?
Yeah. There'll be up to 10, 15 people sometimes crammed in a little room like this for body heat and safety.
How is it in the wintertime?
You freeze. I ain't gonna lie. There's a couch, you know, you find some old abandoned furniture. On this couch, you'll probably have 2 or maybe even 3 people sleeping on it.
To me, the concept of living on the streets would be extremely difficult, but to them, it's easier. I don't know how it's easier, but it's easier. It's a freedom.
But it's a freedom that some New Orleans merchants aren't wild about, especially in the French Quarter, where many of the Gutterpunks hang out.
They have no regard for anything or anybody, including themselves. They're belligerent, they're aggressive. They're the first beggars I've ever met with an attitude.
Most of the people I know aren't like that. Like when I ask for change, if the people at least acknowledge my existence and say no to me, I'll say thanks anyway, have a nice day, you know. But not everyone's like that.
And that's partly why some city officials want the cops to give these kids the boot.
Some of the greatest violations have been public urination, aggressive panhandling to the point of coming very close to threatening the person if they don't give you money, sleeping in doorways of private property.
But the kids say not all of them act that way. They say the cops are targeting them simply because of the way they look.
What makes me mad is that I blew $10 in here this morning, and I can't even sit out in front of their store and enjoy it, you know, the cool air, just due to the fact that they automatically assume, due to the fact that I have a hair wrap, I'm a little bit dirty, and I'm homeless, that I'm a vagrant panhandler. And that's just the way that the police officers perceive us.
There has been no direct attack against the Gutterpunks based on what color they dye their hair or how they style their hair or the clothes that they wear. The attack has been on the actions that have been perpetrated by many of them. If the Gutterpunks conducted themselves in a manner that was respectful, then they would be welcome as well.
Are you buying it when the city says that you guys are welcome in the city anytime, just so long as you don't break the laws?
No, not at all, because we'll get in trouble just for standing somewhere. You know, we see a bunch of people sitting down, we'll sit down like a little farther than them. They'll come up and arrest us for sitting down, and we'll get locked up for 6 months for no reason at all. We'll get kicked out of somewhere just because of the way we dress, or the way we look, or the way we act, the way we talk, what people think, It ain't what's on the outside, it's what's on the inside. People don't realize that and understand.
Are you happy out here? Are you really happy?
I'm totally happy with the situation I'm in. I'm totally content with any situation I'm in, as long as it's not a dangerous situation. This is not, as I see it, a dangerous situation. I can fend for myself if need be. If not, oh well. I mean, I can die and not have to deal with this pathetic world anymore.
Biggest misconception is that we're all Gutterpunks and we're here to terrorize the tourists, which isn't true. A lot of us go out, some of us go out and get jobs, okay? Some of us go and do things for our lives.
Most of the time we don't even have to ask for money, just set a cup, play some music. And we mainly do that to avoid the misconception that us hippies are vagrants.
These homeless kids are known by many names. To some, they're vagrants. To others, they're panhandling hippies and Gutterpunks. But to each other, they're called family.
Well, I've learned a lot from them in that respect. When times are good, they share. When times are bad, the person they shared with, times may be good for them. So they help each other. And I think that's how most of them cope. They have a very good sense of family with each other. I think that's what they're looking for, is a sense of belonging, a sense of family, and they find it with each other.